Right now on Good Morning America, first look. After a wave of airstrikes at sea, President Trump now warning strikes on land could be coming very soon in the fight against alleged drug traffickers. This as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth provides new details about a follow-up boat attack that critics claim could be a war crime. Dramatic crashes in the ice and snow. This truck driver left dangling off a highway. Another truck flipping off the side of an interstate. Now record cold moves in. A food fight in court. The new legal battle over processed foods. Everything from cookies to chips. Should big food be held accountable like big tobacco? Caught on camera, a driverless taxi drives right through a police standoff, raising questions about safety. The inspirational story of a boy who lost both his legs to the flu but became a superhero. A new way parents can save for their children's future with the help of the government and a billionaire. Later, the raccoon that invaded a liquor store and passed out drunk. And the massive effort to remove this 14-foot gator from a residential neighborhood.
From ABC News, this is Good Morning America, First Look.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm Sophie Flay.
And I'm Hannah Battah. We begin with a controversy rocking Washington over whether a war crime was committed during U.S. airstrikes on suspected drug smugglers near Venezuela.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth now revealing new information. And now President Trump says airstrikes on land could be coming, quote, very soon. Here's ABC's Lionel Moise.
This morning, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth distancing himself from attacks on a suspected drug boat off Venezuela. In a cabinet meeting, Hegseth insisting the controversial second strike was not his call, but came from Navy Admiral Mitch Bradley.
He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call.
Hegseth initially claimed the day after the strike that he watched it in real time, but now elaborating, saying he did not see the second strike.
As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs.
The administration has been under fire after the Washington Post reported at the outset Hegseth gave orders to kill everyone on board, which is why the Post says Bradley fired the second missile, targeting 2 survivors. International law prohibits killing enemy combatants who no longer pose a threat.
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war.
Senator Rand Paul breaking with other Republicans to criticize Hegseth's response.
So either he was lying to us on Sunday or he's incompetent and didn't know it had happened.
President Trump now warning the administration could soon begin land strikes targeting suspected drug smugglers.
We'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea.
At the same cabinet meeting, Trump discussing a new crackdown on asylum seekers in the wake of last week's shooting of 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, one of whom was killed. Authorities say the suspect is seen in these images during the attack. The Afghan national was formally charged yesterday with murder. But Trump yesterday also taking aim at immigrants from Somalia, calling them garbage and using a derogatory term to describe how he says they complain.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain, and from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, we don't want them in our country.
Immigration agents now preparing operations targeting Somali immigrants in Minnesota amid a separate investigation into alleged welfare fraud.
Have you ever tried this one? Have you ever tried this one?
Meanwhile, singer Sabrina Carpenter is demanding the White House stop using her music in a video showing immigration raids, calling the raids part of a, quote, inhumane agenda. The White House responding, saying, we won't apologize for deporting dangerous criminal, illegal murderers, rapists, and pedophiles from our country. Following the National Guard shooting, the Trump administration has now paused all pending asylum and green card applications from 19 so-called countries of concern, which include Somalia and Afghanistan. Hannah, Sophie.
Lionel, thank you. And as for the boat strikes, Navy Admiral Mitch Bradley will brief lawmakers tomorrow. But let's turn now to a wild scene on a West Virginia highway. Snow and ice causing the semi-truck to slide off the road, leaving the cab dangling off a bridge near Charleston with the driver still inside. Now, rescuers had to use ropes to slowly lift him to safety. And another truck lost control coming around this curve near Hartford, Connecticut. The storm has moved out to sea, but bitter cold temperatures are moving in. We'll check your forecast in a few moments.
A student from the University of Delaware is under arrest, accused of plotting an attack. Police say 25-year-old Lukman Khan had a gun and ammunition in his truck and a notebook detailing alleged plans to target the university's police department. Khan was arrested at a park after closing time during routine police patrols. Officers say he was nervous and avoided eye contact.
Some officers would go out there and be like, hey, just leave the park for the night. No, not these officers. They continue to do what they were trained to do. And they stopped a potential shooter of some sort.
Khan allegedly told police that becoming a martyr is a great thing to do. The FBI has taken over the case. Khan has not yet entered a plea to the charges.
Results are in from a closely watched congressional election in red state Tennessee. Democrats were hoping for an upset, with polls showing President Trump's approval rating on the decline. ABC's Perry Russum has the results. Hey, Perry, good morning.
Sophie, good morning. Republican Matt Van Epps won the special election for the state's 7th congressional district, keeping the seat red, but he only won by 9 points in a district that President Trump carried by 22 points last year. And Republicans spent big money on this race. Democrats say the writing is on the wall for a blue wave next year. One party official saying Republicans should be, quote, shaking in their boots. Even with that, Van Epps is crediting President Trump for his victory.
Running from Trump is how you lose. Running with Trump is how you win.
The head of the Republican National Committee says the win last night makes it clear voters do not want, quote, far-left candidates who hate the very people they claim to represent. Still, this race was closer than many expected, and one analysis found Republicans currently hold about 100 congressional seats in districts that are less red than Tennessee's 7th. Hannah.
Harry, thanks. Well, there's been no breakthrough in the latest high-stakes meeting aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner sat down with Vladimir Putin for nearly 5 hours. A Russian official said Putin could accept some parts of the U.S. peace plan, but rejected others. And Putin lashed out ahead of the meeting, saying if Europe wants war, Russia is ready.
Now to a food fight in court, a new legal battle over processed foods, with lawyers comparing big food to big tobacco. It's a first-of-its-kind lawsuit taking on companies behind some of America's most popular foods. Everything from Oreos to Wheat Thins, Nutri-Grain bars to Lunchables. The city of San Francisco is suing 10 major corporations, accusing them of making people sick. Among them, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Kraft Heinz.
Our case is about companies who design food to be harmful and addictive and marketed their products to maximize profits.
The lawsuit alleges unfair and deceptive acts in the marketing of ultra-processed foods and claims these companies have known their products are harmful. The city says the cost of treating diseases like diabetes and heart disease has burdened local governments.
Ultra-processed foods have created an enormous public health crisis with skyrocketing healthcare costs.
A trade group representing the food industry says the lawsuit misleads consumers, and there is no agreed-upon definition of ultra-processed. It insists the food companies adhere to rigorous evidence-based safety standards established by the FDA and continue to introduce new product options that include increased protein and fiber, reduced sugars, and sodium.
We cannot be a strong nation if we do not have a strong people.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy has also been targeting these foods as part of his Make America Healthy Again agenda, citing a study that found nearly 70% of children's calories now come from ultra-processed foods. Kennedy has promised to boost nutrition research while pushing companies to eliminate artificial dyes. But skeptics question the long-term impact. San Francisco hopes to see the same success it had when it took on Big Tobacco. City officials claim Big Food uses the same playbook today as Big Tobacco used then.
They knew their products make people very sick, but hid the truth from the public, profited from untold billions, and left Americans to deal with the consequences.
The city is seeking monetary damages and stricter marketing rules. A similar lawsuit filed by a consumer was dismissed this year.
Time now for your Wednesday weather.
Good morning. We've dried out in the Northeast. Nicest day of the week here, but then we await the Arctic air. It's coming in the upper Midwest today. Some of the coldest air of the season will be working in. Sub-zero lows on Thursday morning from Sioux Falls to Des Moines. It gets into the Northeast as we go through Friday. 12 in Pittsburgh, 24 Baltimore, and 20 in New York. This is the coldest air of the season. We'll be in the teens in Chicago on Thursday. Only 30s in New York and D.C. as we go into late week. Watch for some snow squalls on Thursday as that Arctic air arrives. That's your forecast. I'm ABC News meteorologist Lee Goldberg.
Coming up, how much taxpayer money has been spent on Postal Service trucks not being used.
Also ahead, a driverless taxi drives right through a police standoff, raising questions about safety.
And the story of a boy who lost his legs to the flu but became a superhero. We're back with this driverless Waymo taxi making a left in Los Angeles, driving right through that police standoff where a suspect was being held on the ground. Waymo says police had not yet blocked off that road. It's the latest in a series of incidents for the company, including one where a vehicle drove in circles at the Phoenix airport. Passenger nearly missed his flight. Waymo says it is learning from these incidents and says Waymos have a lower crash rate than human drivers.
A U.S. senator is sounding the alarm about taxpayer money being spent on electric vehicles for the Postal Service. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst says nearly $2 billion have been spent, but only about 600 trucks have been produced. She wants to cancel the program. The Postal Service says delays are not unusual for a new manufacturing line.
Now, the inspirational story of a boy who beat the flu and turned into a superhero.
3 years ago, a boy in Michigan lost both his legs due to complications from the flu.
End up finding out that he had strep flu and he was septic.
All of it leading to a severe infection in 7-year-old Caden Stevenson's bloodstream, forcing doctors to amputate his legs.
5. Okay, but you gotta reach for him.
But during rehab, specialists helped Caden recover and regain his confidence. And now, 3 years later, he's turning his experience into a superpower. With help from the advocacy group Families Fighting Flu, Caden's story has been transformed into a comic book called Caden Blaze Fights Flu Bug.
I wanted to hold people and keep them safe.
In the comic, his alter ego is Caden Blaze, a superhero whose mission is to fight the flu and promote awareness about the virus.
Families Fighting Flu's mission is to improve awareness and education to help support getting people vaccinated and bringing awareness at how serious the flu can be.
The CDC says nationwide flu activity is currently low, but is on the rise, especially among kids and young adults. The states seen here in dark purple are where the virus is spreading, with more than 1 million estimated flu illnesses already this season. Caden and his mom say the book not only encourages people to get their flu shot, but also spreads a message of hope.
Never give up. That's like the biggest thing. Never give up. Fight, 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 fight.
Doctors say if you do get the flu, being vaccinated can help make your symptoms milder.
Well, coming up, what it took to remove a 14-foot alligator from a Florida neighborhood.
But first, a new way parents can save for their children's future with the help of the government and a billionaire. That's the song of the year, according to Apple Music, which says the Rosé and Bruno Mars hit was the top streamed song worldwide. YouTube says it was also the fastest K-pop music video to reach 1 billion views.
We turn now to a new way parents can save for their children's future, getting a boost from a billionaire family.
It's one of the largest philanthropic gifts ever to go directly to Americans. The family behind Dell Computers now pledging more than $6 billion to jumpstart savings accounts for 25 million children.
It really gives them a shot at the American dream.
The gift is designed to bolster the new Trump Accounts initiative. Under that federal program, every baby born from 2025 through 2028 will get a $1,000 baby bonus from the government. But the Dell donation expands that offer. The Dells will be depositing $250 into accounts for kids ages 10 and under, specifically those in zip codes where the median income is less than $150,000. The Dells are still working on how to get that money to individual kids, but they say the U.S. Treasury will help find the accounts that meet their criteria. They're hoping this will inspire other companies to follow suit.
We are confident that others will join us because we all understand the incredible impact that a gift like this can have on the lives of young Americans.
As for how the so-called Trump accounts will work, the money must be invested in an index fund tracking the stock market, and it can't be touched until the child turns 18. Parents will need to file an IRS form to claim the account, and the Treasury Department will send out activation instructions beginning in May of next year, with the program officially launching in July.
And that form is available now, but the accounts won't be activated until the middle of next year.
Well, a dramatic rescue in Florida after a truck crashed through a tree and into the Miami River. 2 women were inside that truck. It's unclear how it lost control. Airbags were apparently trapping them inside, so a bystander jumped into the water, broke a window, and got them out. Coming up, observant viewers catching a mistake in a popular TV drama.
Plus, the raccoon that invaded a liquor store and passed out drunk. Time to check the pulse, and we begin with a wild night for a raccoon looking for a good time.
You can't make this up. So the animal broke into a liquor store in Virginia. He made quite a mess, knocking over and breaking several bottles there. He must have sampled the contents because then an officer found him passed out in the bathroom next to the toilet.
He was brought to a shelter to sober up. Next, a huge alligator lurking in a neighborhood near Tampa.
Yeah, it took 7 sheriff's deputies and a trapper to get this 14-foot gator into a truck. They ended up bringing it to a gator farm, saying it weighs 600 pounds. Okay, now to Chicago, home of the Bears and free hot dogs.
Yeah, here's what's behind the free hot dogs. The Bears beat the Eagles Friday, and in the locker room, Coach Ben Johnson was so fired up, he ripped his shirt off. A place called the Winner's Circle had promised free hot dogs if Johnson ever ripped his shirt off in celebration.
And yesterday, they kept their promise. Let's just say the lines were pretty long. Okay, next, the TV drama Mad Men is now streaming in 4K for the very first time, but the debut on HBO Max was far from picture perfect.
Well said. Viewers spotted multiple errors, and this one was gross, but we promise it's fake. In the famous Roger Sterling's vomit scene, you can clearly see crew members off to the side operating a machine that spits out fake vomit.
So apparently an unedited version of the series was uploaded by mistake.
Finally, a stunning sight in the heavens.
A set of colorful glowing wings was captured by a telescope in Chile, a butterfly nebula that is 2,500 light years away. Checking more top stories, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says he did not witness the second strike on a boat carrying suspected drug smugglers near Venezuela. He says Admiral Mitch Bradley made the call, which critics claim might have been a war crime. President Trump says land strikes against drug smugglers could begin soon.
A doctor who pleaded guilty for selling ketamine to Friends actor Matthew Perry before his death is being sentenced today. He faces up to 40 years in prison. In their impact statement, Perry's parents say the doctor fed on Perry's vulnerability, all for a few $1,000s.
A new study shows an old version of the shingles vaccine might slow the progression of dementia. It appears to be effective at all stages of dementia, but more research is needed.
Denny says it will close 150 locations. It comes a month after the chain was bought for $620 million.
Today's weather, rain along the Gulf Coast later in the day and light snow from the Rockies to the Great Lakes ahead of bitter cold air.
And finally, art made using a typewriter.
Danny New spoke to the artist.
As we see in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, art made up of tiny little dots can blow your mind. But what if it was instead made up of innumerable letters and symbols from a typewriter?
How many little clicks does it take to make the whole piece?
Oh, I mean, in excess of at least 500,000.
English artist James Cook has been picking up millions of views on social media as he types up anything from the Golden Gate Bridge to Robert Pattinson.
So I'm using one hand to move the typewriter, and then I'm using the right hand to actually do the typing.
James says this art form has been around since the Victorian age, but he first started experimenting with it while he was studying to be an architect in college.
In the background, I loved making these drawings so much that I just took it on as a hobby.
However, after starting his social media channel in 2014, James says he is now able to work on his quote-unquote typewriter art full-time. Of course, his appreciation for architecture still comes through, but as you've seen, he also loves to type up faces. In fact, he says the key symbol for typing up a face is the @ symbol.
Which is quite funny because when I think of typewriters, you think of social media using the @ symbol. I think, well, what were people using the @ symbol for, you know, in the 1930s and 40s?
Over the last 11 years, James says he has made more than 350 of these typewriter pieces, each one taking from 2 weeks to 2 months. In other words, typing up typewriter art is tedious work, but he still can't believe this is his job.
I would never have been disappointed if it was just my hobby that I kept to myself.
Guys, I did ask James if he does these line by line or going back and forth, and he said it's more the latter. It's actually kind of like doing an Etch-a-Sketch.
That's your Good Morning America First Look.
Have a great day.